just, if you are a praying person, I do want us to pray for Haiti. Also, because I was in Lake Tahoe, what the day that I got there, you could see the ashes and the smoke in the air from the California fires. Day two, when I woke up, it was clear. By the time I was getting ready to leave out of my hotel room an hour later, another fire had started, and you could see the smoke coming up from the mountains. And it was so bad that you could see the ashes blowing down the street, kind of like, I guess, tumbleweed and what that looks like. And so, California, Haiti, anybody going through natural disasters, I mean, it is really a lot, especially when that is not what you are seeing. Yes, do I see crime here in the Chicago area? Yes, but I don't see natural disasters. And so, when time permits, please just pray for those who are enduring things that are not imaginable to anyone else in the world. Okay, because I've never seen that much ash anywhere. How you doing today, Tanya?
Hey, Marky, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, girl. Your smile is on fire today. Wait, let me
Thank
say this.
you.
You always have a beautiful smile. You're always cheerful, very approachable. So thank you for being who you are. The
Thank
next hour is dedicated to you and your hot seat. What I would love to do is I am seeing you online. I'm seeing you create video content. So I applaud you for taking action. I've known you well before you even thought you were going to do any type of video. So I am seeing you consistently do video. And then let's welcome Gersha. This is Gersha's first hot seat call with us.
Hey,
And
Gersha.
and, and Tanya definitely she won a contest where she did post a video because she's now being consistent with video, and she is the winner of this month's hot seat. The hot seat entails the winner of the hot seat competition to come in and ask me anything they want to ask me, and I have to be 100% transparent, which often makes me feel like I'm telling all my business. And so, whatever it is that is on Tanya's mind, this hour is dedicated to her. But she has questions that probably other members have. And so, take it away, Tanya.
Okay, great. Well, Marky, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be a member of 6 in 12. And I am not that great and comfortable with being on video. As you might remember, well, you probably don't remember because you meet so many people, but I talked to you in Chicago. You actually started me using Instagram. We were at the homes.com booth. And I walked up to you. I said, Marky, I don't know anything about this Instagram. And you actually took my phone, you downloaded the app, and you set it up for me, like right there at the homes.com booth. I was like, wow, okay, so do I just get started? You said yes. So
Wow.
it
Well,
was wonderful.
you know
So
what's
thank you.
crazy? Because I do take people phones all the time and walk them through the steps, right, to show it to them. And I'm starting to see more videos or photos posted where you can see me with someone's phone talking to them, right? And Carrie says, all you got to do is catch Marky out here or sit next to her at lunch and she will talk you to death, take your phone and set it all up for you. So I'm glad that I was able to be of service and that I wasn't standoffish, which I'm not anyway, but that I had enough time to be able to do that for you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So yeah, it was at the NAR conference in Chicago a couple of years ago. So it was great. So
Yep.
yeah, so I have recently started doing Tuesday Real Estate Tips with Tanya, and I post that to my Instagram and to my Facebook business page. And of course, I would have never done any of that without your encouragement. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So let's get into it. All right. So my first question is about privacy issues. Privacy issues have been in the news with people in the public eye, and you're quite comfortable with being noticed, like in the grocery store and in public, and having people approach you. So, how would you recommend that someone get more comfortable with an increased online presence and kind of the loss of privacy that comes along with that?
You know what? That is a Excellent question, because there is a loss of privacy, and I'm going to take it back to the ethics side first. I've taught the ethics course for quite some time, and in that course, what I tell people is you better always be where you said you were going to be, doing what it is you said you were going to do. If not, the internet will make a lie out of you.
Mhm.
And in that class, I use an example from years ago. At this point, it might be 7, 8 years ago. My husband got an Instagram account in the midst of the pandemic. But if you were to Google my husband's name, you would know his occupation. You would
Mhm.
know how much money he makes. Okay. Because it's not because he put it out there, because it's just out there. Okay. Um, and my husband believes that Facebook is the work of the devil, and he does not have a Facebook account. Y'all heard me say this. Well, with that being said, numerous years ago, my husband was going to a party. And to me, he was putting a lot of effort into going to this party, more than normal. And so I tell him, I said, well, you know what? When you go to this party, you better be on your best behavior, because none of all the guys was going out, but none of the wives were extended an invitation to go. I said, because I'm going to know everything you're doing at the party, and I don't even have to be there.
Mhm.
First of all, I received a text from someone telling me my husband had arrived at the party. Let's start with that. Okay. Over the course of the evening, my husband was in 2 videos and 5 photos, none of which he posed for.
Mhm.
So when people started tagging people, I also knew who else was at the party.
Mhm.
So I could then hop from page to page on Facebook to see everything that was going on at the party. But that very first post that hit the internet shows my husband walking, like he in full walk across the room mode side profile.
Mhm.
I take a screenshot of it and I send it to him. And I said, I'm glad to see that you arrived safely. Because I
Mhm.
wanted him to know I don't ever have to be at the party, and I
Yeah.
can know what's going on at the party. We now officially live in a world of no privacy, right?
Mhm.
And we don't have to have an account. We don't have to post anything. But
Mhm.
this mobile device that is capturing photos, videos, and audios can capture everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was in Maui. I didn't post I didn't post him in any content because it's public information. I'm in Maui. Okay.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
on the Utah Realtors website. But when my husband is traveling with me, I don't post any content related to him or him in it until once he is back at home.
Mhm.
Because what I just told the world is my house is vacant,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And I do live on the south side of the city of Chicago. So I can't let you know in real time.
Mhm.
Also, when it comes to eating out, I do a lot of check ins. I now check in once I've left the establishment,
Okay.
because someone has joined me when I posted in the past. Like they just slid into the booth. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I didn't invite you to eat lunch, right? And at that moment, I said, you know what? You could still post, but
Mhm.
post once you have left the premises
Yeah.
if you don't want someone to join you. So, what I would say, because I'm real clear about, my surrounding safety, people knowing where you are, where you're not. My job is public as a speaker. So it tells people where I'm at, when I'm going to be there, right?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
I have a lot of rules around how I travel. Like, no one has ever been to my hotel room. I don't
Mhm.
let people get up on the elevator. I catch you later. All of these different things, right? To protect my privacy. But the first thing is we have to change our mind, because we still operate from the mentality that we do have privacy
Yeah.
when we don't. There's no privacy in the world of social media and recording devices.
Mhm.
It's gone. So I'm always looking around. Um, well, I don't know if Carrie tell you this. When the pandemic first hit, I stopped wearing designer branded stuff out of the house. Okay. I put a simple black crossbody bag. You don't really see me ever carry a purse. You see me with a crossbody. I keep
Mhm.
my belongings close to me because I'm always thinking, what's going on, who's watching me. I pay attention and garages. I do not talk on my telephone
Yeah.
when I am walking down the street or anything of that nature. So when it comes to the privacy issues and the social media, it's a trade-off, right? You're essentially making yourself your own real estate broadcaster and newscaster, right? For years, we've had anchors and broadcasters, and people see them all the time, right, on the news, and there was never an issue.
Yeah.
We are that person today intentionally. Therefore, we need to also take heed to some of the things that they have in place. So, a thing here in the state of Illinois, and there's only 4 states that have it. Put your property in trust. So, like my property is in trust. So that means that people can't just find my address because of the property.
Oh, okay.
But let me say this: they know the address because of other things.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a good question. Privacy is very important.
Yeah.
With Chicagoans, you have to be, we have to. I see a lot of agents post all the time, and I'm thinking, what type of security systems do they have on their home when they
Mm-hmm.
always out of town? I'm, and my aunt made a comment on a post last week. Well, actually, she inboxed me because I said I was traveling to these locations, and she was like, "I think you should take that down." And I'm like, "It's at least 10 websites with this information on it, right?" But what I'm not going to do is post me, Stephen, and Austin. But Austin, I'll post me and him because he's not an adult. He's not supposed to be responsible for the security of our residents.
Right.
It's Stephen that I won't post us until after the fact because I don't want people to think that my house is empty.
Okay. Right. Right. Well, I understand that. So now, what about privacy on your social media accounts? So recently, I think this happened a few months ago, and I only know about it because my daughter told me. But someone has stolen my Instagram profile. They've copied my pictures, and they used my Instagram name, and they just put an underscore at the end of it. So my Instagram name is Tonya Jones Sells Homes. So they made Tonya Jones Sells Homes with an underscore at the end. So how do you recommend that people protect their social media profiles and their content? Because now they've got this fake Instagram account with my face all over it.
Oh, so what I would do is consistently report that account and ask people to report that account. I have been cloned before. Numerous people have been cloned. I will say the more active you are, the less likely you are to be cloned. So I see some people, it's like 10 versions of them out here. So the less frequent they use the profile, it gives another person the opportunity to set up these profiles and to consistently use them and really start to perpetrate, right? With me, I realized it within a day that it
Mhm.
was a Marky Lemons underscore at the end. I instantly went and reported that account. And I told other people to report that account. I think Tommy Choi notified me, another person. So within 24 to 48 hours, they took that other account down. One, you can go to my profile and just see how old it is, right?
Mhm.
Versus this new account that has the same identical picture. So
Mhm.
report that account. I mean, every hour on the hour so that Instagram will take the fake account down. You will
Well,
see cloned accounts all the time.
yes. Well, they've blocked me, so I can't even see that account. So my daughter told me it was out there. So and she told me, what people were, there's people that I actually know who are following that fake account.
So
So
then if you could see the followers, then inbox them and ask them, hey, can you do me a favor and report that account? It is a fake account.
okay,
Oh,
okay,
so they blocked you.
yes. I was like, okay, so I can't even say anything to Instagram, because usually if there's a fake account, you can just go on that profile and report it. But I can't even get to the profile because they blocked me.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Let me do some research on how to report account if it has blocked you.
Okay.
Okay. But let me add this on the privacy. because a lot of times, we set up our accounts as private, and I tell people secret agents don't get found. If
Mhm.
the goal is to attract more people to what it is that you do, do not set up a private account, because all I have to do is take a screenshot of any of the content anyway and basically do a screen grab and then crop it and reshare it. And so the goal is to, we'll come back to add to that. So your daughter can follow that other account. That means that your daughter can take any of that content and share it with you. There's really no privacy and no long-term benefit to any business for having a private account, because secret agents don't get found.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, there's a concept called the shiny object syndrome, where people tend to be attracted to the next big thing, the next shiny object, the next big course or program. How do you recommend that real estate professionals overcome that when we are constantly being marketed
So great. You got some good questions.
to?
I like the shiny object, and then also FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the ways to do that is to have a business plan and to know exactly what your goals and objectives are for the year. So then when people are sending you all this stuff, and I'm talking about text messages, I'm talking about emails, I'm talking about people who are even cold calling us, you can tell them, you know what, that does not fit for me right now. And let me give you, I guess, even a deeper example. This year was the first year that I paid my federal taxes, paid in full, no outstanding taxes, nothing. Now, I've always paid my state taxes on time because my licenses are tied to the state. With that being said, I've been marketed to by an accountant. She sent out the absolute best emails. Okay. I was going to hire her. Okay. But to me, the price was a little bit expensive. So I told them, I need to research you more. Give me a minute. Well, first thing, when I got in the car with Chris Bird on Monday, because he's an accountant, he specializes in accounting, I asked him some questions, and it verified that I didn't need to do business with that person.
Okay.
So it is one, what does your business plan say? What is it that you need to do? Because I knew this year I wanted to shore up my YouTube channel because I'm at the point that I can monetize it. So how do I monetize it correctly? So investing in YouTube was important to me. I then realized that I really didn't have the time to invest in YouTube based on the other things in which I'm doing.
Mhm. Okay.
So I went and I deleted my profile on Snapchat, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Twitter
Twitter.
because, right, 4 places,
Mhm.
because I wanted to free up the time to focus on YouTube. But they weren't meeting the goals. Okay. And it was not the audience that is my strongest audience, according to everything, because I know the stats on every platform. If we were to look at the numbers on Facebook, 78% of my audience is female. Out of 5,000 friends, right? 78% are females. And out of those females, the largest age bracket is 45 to 54.
Okay.
I don't need Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter to cater to them,
Yeah.
right? And because I have a podcast, I don't necessarily need a Clubhouse, right? So
Right.
I deleted those. So go back, one, to the business plan and who are the clients you're trying to reach. Don't do anything that isn't going to help put you in front of those clients. So a lot of people, somebody said it, two people have said it in the past week that I don't have time for them. Well, what they want, I don't specialize in. So that's first and foremost. What they
Mhm.
want, I'm not the go-to expert for that subject anyway. That would
Mhm.
be first and foremost. The next thing is, what is the value of an hour of your time? So when we start thinking about these shiny objects, how much time is it going to cost you? Here would be an example tonight. Shiny objects. I've published 23 books, authored 22. I hop on a call right before this one with Crystal Swain Bates. to see if I want to start a publishing company. Instantly, I realized when she went through everything that you got to do, right? I said, one, I'm not an expert at that list of things.
Mhm.
But two, I can't charge for publishing what I charge for webinars, what I charge as a keynote. And guess what I did? Left the webinar.
Okay.
I left the webinar because I just need to do that quick scan. Do
Mhm.
you gather the information? Yeah, because it might be valuable. Do you have to do it? Absolutely not. Leave webinar. And I love her. And I've published a lot. But I'm not meant to have a publishing company because it's not the highest and best use of my time.
Okay.
So I would go back to that business plan. Who's that audience? What's the highest and best use of your time? And if you keep that at the forefront, it is going to allow you, when you get in these messages,
Yeah.
delete, 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 delete. I'll give you another example. We're having our installation here in Chicago. They just sent out the ability to get a hotel room. So instantly I was like, oh, I'll go stay at the hotel, right? And then I looked at the calendar. Now that's the next thing. What does your calendar say? And we have a 9 a.m. That's our Saturday coaching call. No need of me going to stay in a hotel that I'm gonna have to get up, come home, sit in front of this computer. I got to get up and out the bed by 7:30. Oh, I don't need the hotel room. So guess what? I'm gonna bring my butt home the night before. I don't need the hotel room because I can't. I'm thinking, oh, if I get the hotel room, I'm downtown. I can sleep in late. I can go have brunch. I can't do none of that because I got a 9 a.m. commitment. So look at that. A lot of our calendars don't allow time for us to do more things anyway.
Okay.
So I think that's 3 points. What does the business plan say? Is it going to get you in front of the audience you need to be in front of in order to make the money? And then also, what does the schedule say? And implement the power of saying no. Like, yeah. And tell yourself no.
Okay.
Just, well, here's why. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean you're supposed to do it.
Okay.
Like I can crochet. I'm very good at crocheting. I've made garments. It is not a good utilization of my time. I gotta find the patterns I like. I need to go pick up yarn. I gotta buy needles. I need to read the pattern. So when I start breaking down my crocheting hobby, it wasn't the best hobby. Of all the hobbies I could have, it still wasn't the best hobby. I
Mhm.
gave all of my yarn and donated it, right, to a parent at my son's school because she does arts and crafts in Little Village. And she
Mhm.
tells me all the time, Marky, we still haven't used all the yarn.
Oh, that must have been a lot of yarn.
It was because I get into my hobbies, right? So everything you could have for crocheting, I had it. Every size needle, wood needle, metal needle, patterns, all type of yarn. I mean, it was a ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. And it was like, girl, this is not the best use of your time. And do I still do crafts? My best craft that I can take with me that doesn't require that much space is anything dealing with origami and paper crafts. So I've even pared down on my crafts because it's just not enough time.
Okay. My next question. You've talked about your family business and the legal situation and how you navigated that.
Yes.
Have you ever made a mistake in your real estate business? And if so, how did you recover from it?
So I'm gonna let everybody know what the story is so they'll know and come in. Okay. So I was born and raised in the restaurant business. I'm a Chicago fifth generation entrepreneur. My family's been in the barbecue business since 1954. There were a lot of promises made. Okay. I have an undergrad degree in hotel restaurant management. I had a food and sanitations license. I went out to Cornell to their hospitality program. And then my granddaddy sent me to go get an MBA degree. It was all with the intentions that I was going to come back into the family business. And I did. My father's sister sued me because I owned the trademark right for Lamb's Barbecue. My logic was if you ever get sued, you countersue. Okay.
Mhm.
So the judge actually threw my family's lawsuit against me out and forced them to go to mediation. Okay. When we went to mediation, my grandfather is sitting there. He's been fabulous to me, absolutely fabulous. And he started crying. And my grandfather came from Mississippi with absolutely nothing. And we've sold more pork rib tips than anybody else in the city of Chicago. At that moment, I sat there in front of the mediator and it hit me. If I could not make it on my own based on the investment of my grandfather's past, I was never going to be nothing. So I settled the lawsuit with them to like 5 cents on the dollar, just so we know. And I said, I'm gonna reinvent myself and do everything on my own. It was absolutely one of the best business decisions because a lot of people, my uncle, he just passed away a couple of weeks ago. He said, Marky, I would have never gave him grace. I gave them grace because my grandfather had done so much for me that everything that I needed already existed. It was up to me to be able to do it. So I was able to be free and create and do what I want to do on my own terms. So then in the world of real estate, was it something what bad happened in real estate? I'll give you an example because nothing horrendous has happened per se in real estate. I've had a couple of little things that happen, but I have the ADPR, the Accredited Distressed Property Representative. It is a 12-hour real estate foreclosure short sale designation. At the time, we had the CDPE, certified, what was that? Certified Distressed
Best
Property
property
Expert.
expert.
Right.
Mhm.
My ADPR wasn't always ADPR. It was like, if it was CPD or whatever it was the A before it, right? So they sent me a cease and desist, okay, for using the name that I was using. And they also sent it to every organization that had booked the class. So what I had to do was realize one, I was walking the thin rope that I needed to change the name. So oftentimes, if you don't do enough research, and if you don't secure the name, don't assume that you can use it. And when someone tells you you shouldn't use it, stop using it because it wasn't yours in the first place. That would be one. I've never been subject to any other litigation. The only true issues I've had is around the use of a name for a class or something of that nature. And because I did not buy it or trademark it or any of that thing of that nature, I'm not going to, I've already been subject to a trademark lawsuit, right? And technically I won that lawsuit because they were forced to settle with me. I didn't have to settle. I didn't have to settle with them for what they got it for, which was 5 cents on a dollar of what the lawsuit was. Has been my my biggest issues. But let me tell you, I think why. When it comes to real estate transactions, I actually prayed over my real estate transactions because there's a time that you just want people to buy. And we have to think about our fiduciary responsibilities and that this is about undivided loyalty to the client. And so things, especially during the foreclosure crisis and pivoting, had got rough. And I decided that my reputation was more important than anything. And I would pray on my deals and I would say, is this going to be the best transaction for that person? And if it's not, don't let it close. The opposite of that is I have a sorority sister. She's my ship. We pledged on the same line. She was disbarred and she was sent to federal penitentiary for 5 years in West Virginia. Mind you, her family is here in the state of Illinois because she decided she was going to force transactions.
Oh.
Essentially, I'm saying that nice, right?
Mhm.
And so when things get rough, it is okay to lose. And some of us, we cannot accept that loss And if you're not adhering to license law and the realtor's code of ethics, don't do it, because I personally know someone who was disbarred and sent to prison. And all I could think about was, yeah, we financially lost everything, but I have never been forced to be away from my children. Just
Wow.
so think about that. Like financially, things was rough. Like I'm like, ooh, you know, you're like, woo, how we gonna pay these bills, right? Um, and you got, and I'm not gonna say rob Peter to pay Paul. You have to juggle and finagle some things. But I was never forced to be away from my children or my family. And keep that in mind when it comes to any of these situations. Did you do enough research? What does license law and the Realtors Code of Ethics say?
Mhm.
And then move forward. And on that, the last tip is there was a time that I would argue anybody down on behalf of my clients, right? I'm gonna argue you down no matter what happens. And when we go back and we think about our fiduciary responsibilities and the fact that we owe our clients undivided loyalty, but we also owe obedience as long as it's in the scope of the law, it hit me, Marky, do your clients even want you to act a fool like this for them? So I start asking my clients, how would you like me to handle this situation? No one has ever told me to act the fool that I was acting.
Mhm.
No one. Give you an example. We were doing a deal. It was in High Park. This was over a microwave. This microwave probably is almost today would be as old as I am. That's how old this microwave was. So the lady kept coming back with these little things in this real estate transaction. And I'm ready to just tell her, go kick rocks. I said, stop, pause, Marky. I called my clients. I said, how do you feel? Because she now wants to take the microwave. My clients started laughing. They said, Marky, do you really think we want that old microwave? Let her have it.
Mhm.
I was like, okay. Because that wasn't going to be my approach to the microwave. Because if it was my client's microwave, you're going to give my clients their microwave, right? And from that moment forward, which was some time ago, if it was a difficult situation, I would always go ask when it comes to your clients, how would you like me to handle this? Because we're acting on their behalf anyway. Everything we do is on their behalf. Ask them how they want you to do on their behalf. And I'm going to tell you, I reduced 25% of my headaches with that one thing because
I
they
like
don't want you to argue no way.
I like that. I gotta write that down. How would you like for me to handle this?
Yeah. I have some ideas, might not be the way you would want me to handle it. And it also reinforces their role, right? I'm to be
Mhm.
obedient to you as long as it's in the scope of the law.
Mhm.
How would you like me to handle this? Because we'll argue about something and it's not even important to them
Mhm.
when we don't ask them.
Yeah.
So it saved me numerous unnecessary arguments.
Okay. Okay. Um, you were talking about using a name in the class that you had. Now, speaking of names, you have a very unique name. There's only one Marky Lemons. There are three other real estate agents in Metro Atlanta named Tonya Jones. Okay. So, how do you recommend that I stand out from these other agents
So,
with this
Marky
very common name?
name, I got you. So, Marky Lemons, with the spelling, I am the only Marky Lemons in the world. So when it came time to brand myself, it was natural for me to just use that name because I already knew I was the only one of them in the world. And then I took my husband's last name, which is Ryhal, and totally different, right? So with that being said, because there are three of you, and anytime we're doing real estate, I think every license law mandates that we use the name that is on our license because if anybody was to file a complaint. I want you to think of a slogan that you can use in conjunction with your name to help differentiate which Tonya Jones. So we know there's more. And then if you start thinking about across the country, what is a slogan that you can add? So when you say Tonya Jones, and let's just say it's ABC, no one else is using Tonya Jones ABC. They'll know which Tonya Jones you are of the Tonya Jones.
Okay.
So, and just coming up with that slogan, like one of my, and this is a long slogan, so you wouldn't be this long, even in the classes, I tell everybody, we did a diversity panel the other day. Oh, with Tim, out of your area, and Tim Her, I think it is. Yeah, he'll be Aria's incoming president. And I said, well, I'm the shortest, darkest, roundest person in the room with the least amount of hair. I say that all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or everyone knows that I'm Marky Lemons-Ryhal. I hear people mimic me all the time. Real estate keynote speaker, international best-selling author.
Mm-hmm.
Come up not just with real estate or realtor, right? Because the other Tanyas, they're in real estate, they're also realtors. But what is that one thing that will differentiate you in the market that allows you to follow licensed law and the realtor's code of ethics, but it'll allow you to stand out?
Okay.
And every time you write your name, put it there as well.
I need a slogan. Okay.
Yeah, I would say definitely get you a slogan that it stands out, is catchy. I would say, and if it can convey a benefit to the consumer. Like I tell people all the time, I teach realtors. Well, let's say we're meeting for the first time. You don't know me. And if I'm trying to follow all the rules and regulations of an elevator pitch or a slogan, this is what it would say. Hey, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm Marky Lemons-Ryhal. I teach realtors how to earn up to a 2,468% return on their marketing dollar, leveraging social media and technology. Because I'm conveying the benefit to the realtor to do business with me. And then they'll say, well, how do you do that? Oh, as a real estate keynote speaker and 4-time international best-selling author. So what have you done when you go back and you look at your stats in your marketplace that you can pivot, maybe, and it might not be all of the city. It might be that one area that you want to niche in, that you want to stand out. I've sold more, I give an example. Paulette, not Paulette Edwards, Sybil, she might be in the group. Sybil could probably say, and I'm not sure, that she's helped more number one condo development expert on the South Side.
Okay.
And I could probably say the South Side for her. I'm pretty sure she might be able to claim that. So what have you done that no other Tonya, at least not in your marketplace, can profess that they've done?
Okay.
It could be something in leadership. It could be something in sales. It could be something in marketing and branding that no one else can claim.
Okay. I have to think about that.
That's fine.
Okay. I do have a particular niche, but I kind of specialize in helping sellers kind of swap their homes if they need to buy and sell at the same time. So that's really my favorite thing to do.
So then you could easily be Tonya Jones, the home swapper, your home swapping expert.
I like that.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Because see, what I hear you say, you need 2 deals. Yeah. You want 2 deals. So you could definitely be that home swapping expert, and then you could give home swapping tips and the home swapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just something to think about if that's what you really like to do. And what I heard is 2 transactions.
Yes, that is my favorite thing to do, because I'm coming back around to some of the people that I helped when I first got into the business, who bought a first home, and some of them are ready to move up to another home. So that's my favorite thing to do, is to help them go from point A to point B, and to be able to get into that new house and sell that old house. So I love that. Favorite thing. I like that. So the home swapper.
Yes.
Thank you, Marky. Okay, so now speaking of some of my old clients, past clients, it has been said that your database is your gold mine. Your database is your money. what are your best practices for staying top of mind with your database?
I'm glad you asked that. So, a lot of people want these very robust customer relationship management systems.
Mhm.
Your your database is as good as your consistent utilization and touching it. You don't have to have a robust CRM, but you do need to have a database. I mean, something as simple as Excel, okay?
Mhm.
A place that you're going to consistently add new contacts and then know that you're touching them. When I say touch them in a way that you're going to be consistent, okay? Whether that's going to be text, some type of text messaging system, whether you like to pick up the telephone and call people, whether you like email marketing, whether you are going over to Facebook and sending out these birthday cards and things of that nature. So, a couple of things that I like to do. And 9 times out of 10, I am being hired by a real estate association, a bank, or a title company. Okay, that's going to be my number one employer. So there are certain things that I do that are special just for them. And then you can kind of parlay this differently. Uh, I do the video to repurpose the video. So then every other week, I send an email to my whole database. So
Okay.
every 14 days, on a Tuesday at probably 10:15, they get an email from me, and they have consistently received the same type of communication for the past 24 months. Okay. I just received today someone who replied and responded to me from an email I sent them to book me. All right. I've responded to her.
Mhm.
Now, I already know that she's in my mark. She's getting something from me every 2 weeks because she responded to the email that I sent her.
Right.
The next thing she is going to get from me is going to get this direct mail piece. Okay. These are custom photo cards from Walgreens. I love custom photo cards. And the reason I love them is because people don't throw them away
Right.
like they will your regular card.
Mhm.
Okay. They will throw your regular card completely away. But let me
Yeah.
tell you, I have two now. So this is for face-to-face events, and this is for virtual events. And you see how I kind of mirror the virtual events, all the ones that I've done. These are all just virtual events. There was the little screenshots. So either I'm thanking you with something in the mail for a virtual event or for a face-to-face event. Okay. Now, I've also had people who reached out because I took this thank you card, right? And well, no, I actually have a different card. Let me see if I can find that other card that goes with this. So I'm not going to do this again. I just want you to know that. Moving forward, I am never, ever, ever going to have somebody deliver anything to me for me to have to mail it. I'm going to always, moving forward, this is my absolute last time with doing mass mailings. But I had 250 of these. I put them with, I'm trying to find, uh, oh, here, I think I might have it right here. Let's see here, because it's not a thank you card. It's not. So what I decided to do with that, not with everybody in the database, but with my education directors, I sent them out this card, and this says, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, can we reserve a date for your next real estate event? So I sent them out a save the date card, and I also sent out a save the date email. This was a one-time mailer that went with this. All the branding and marketing is the same because what I did not want was for this piece to go to waste.
Mhm.
But I'm not doing this again. Anything I do moving forward when it comes to mass mailing will be done online. These right here, I send out one at a time. So maybe one a day.
Okay.
I run by the post office once a day. So I'm still doing direct mail. I email. I'm a texter, so I text people messages all the time,
Okay.
and I'm communicating with them all the time online.
So maybe in addition to a monthly newsletter, because I send out a monthly newsletter. So would you recommend that I maybe start going through the database and actually calling people as well, or texting them as well?
So yeah, so everybody who is in that database,
Hmm.
maybe you can do it, do alphabet, right? And so you got 12 months in a year. It's what, 26 alphabets. So let's say you start with 3 a month, A, B, C, right?
Okay.
Then D, E, F. Go through them once a month, put a time block on your calendar. And they
Hmm.
say it's very good to work in 3-hour increments. So maybe it's a 3-hour project
Okay.
where you're going through making sure you have those numbers to be able to text them, right? And say you'll connect with them on your social platform of choice and send them that same newsletter that you're sending out. Is it also an email? How are you
Yes,
sending out your newsletter?
I send my email newsletter out through Mailchimp.
Okay.
I
So
send it
that
through Mail. Mhm.
that email newsletter is actually a standalone web page. You can go take that URL for that month with a little message or tidbit from it, and that can be your text message. So if you have a newsletter or an email, the way the email systems are set up now is that every last one of them is a standalone web page. It has its own URL.
Mhm.
Pick that one aha moment from it and say, hey, I don't know if you had the opportunity to check out my January, and give them that one tip and give them a link. And that'll just be your message for the month. So whatever that newsletter is, you're going to touch 2 to 3 alphabets in your database to make sure that you update that contact field in your customer relationship management system.
Okay. I never thought of that. I like that. I like that.
Let me say this, and I also like to repurpose content. So if it's a way for us to repurpose, because we make the assumption that if we do something one time, everyone has seen it.
Mhm.
And Maury Smith just put out a study, because I thought it was 10%. I'm wrong. That only 5% of your sphere of influence sees any one thing that you post on Facebook. So to me, that means to get to 100%, you need to do something with this one piece of content 20 times or 20 different ways. So the content you have, instead of create more content, think about with this newsletter, how many different ways can I leverage it? Well, one, you got a photo somewhere in that newsletter. That
Mhm.
might then become your Instagram post,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
With
Mhm.
the link in your bio or on your Linktree page. And then you could have each edition, right? In reverse chronological order. So it's a lot of ways to take that newsletter to repurpose it. I would start with the text and then an Instagram post, pulling that one, the most prominent photo out of the newsletter,
Okay.
copying that same content, that same, whatever that content is, and that'll be the description on an Instagram and a Facebook post,
Okay.
since the newsletter is a standalone web page.
Okay. I like that. Okay. My next question. You've talked about Frank Williams being one of your first and most important mentors. And now I Googled Mr. Williams, very, very impressive gentleman, did a lot in Chicago. What was it about that gentleman that made you want to become his mentee? And do you currently have a mentor?
Wow. Um, Frank Williams has always had a magnet in Lem's Barbecue. Even when I came into the world of real estate, my granddaddy would not take Frank Williams' magnet off of the wall. It was
Oh, wow.
sits right next to the cash register. Now, mind you, I did not know Frank. I never put those pieces together. I just know that since I was a little girl, Frank would come into Lem's. He ate Lem's. He would leave a magnet. His magnet was next to the cash. It's still at the cash register at Lem's Barbecue. Matter of fact, saw him the other day. We were at the Tuskegee Airmen event, and my son, I said, look, if you want Frank to mentor you, he said he wants some barbecue. You better go up to Lem's and get him some barbecue and go have lunch with him. Okay. But I think Frank selected me. I didn't select Frank. And
Okay.
let me tell you why. I went out for the board of directors of the Chicago Association of Realtors in 2004. As he will tell you, Frank, the ink had not even dried on my license, and I did not know what a realtor was. They did not put me on the board. I came back out for the board again in 2005. Now, I was very upset when they did not put me on the board in 2005 because I'm in the top 10% of realtors in the city of Chicago. I've earned designations and certifications. I'm getting some little features. I'm like, they crazy not putting me on the board. When they did not put me on the board, Frank was the one person that I could identify in the boardroom. I could identify him. We had a couple of encounters. He was always cordial, and he knew my history. So I reached out to him and I said, "Can I take you to lunch? I'm having a problem with the board selection, and I need to know what I can do." I took him to lunch. We went to a place called I think it was either Izola's, a soul food restaurant. Had a good lunch. I sent him a handwritten note and thanked him. I did exactly what he told me to do. This is what he told me to do. Carrie raised her hand. We're going to get in here. This is what he told me to do. He said, "Look here, baby doll. Look here, baby doll. I'm going to need you to volunteer more to be able to volunteer because I need them to be able to put a face with a name when I go in there and ask them for support of you." Okay, that was first. He says, "And if you want, I'm going to tell y'all this the nugget. If you want people to know who you are and call your name, you need to become a licensed real estate instructor, pre-license, and CE." I said, "Okay." I took a step back. When I called him, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months later, I was a licensed continuing education instructor. I was a licensed pre-license instructor. I said, "Frank, I got the licenses. Frank, I joined this committee. Frank, I went through the whole list." He said, "Okay, baby doll." He said, "Well, let's get you some money." And he said he reached out to Deb Lope. She was the director of education at the Chicago Association of Realtors. And she said, I got the email. He was like, "Look here, I need you to put baby doll on the schedule. Now, I don't know if she can teach. I don't know if she any good or not, but I want you to give her a chance." And we never looked back. So I think because he understood my family's work ethic, he took me on and we just developed that relationship. Now, let me tell you this. So fast forward a couple of years, I had kind of outgrown Frank because Frank had taken me as far as he could take me because he's very local, right? And I went to him and basically he told me I needed to up my game on mentors. Like you like it's levels to it, right? And so then Terry Watson became my mentor. Okay. And now me and Terry Watson have essentially a co-mentoring relationship. So then I started mentoring people and I mentored Maurice Hampton. Well, now me and Maurice Hampton have a co-mentoring relationship because there's things that he knows that I don't know. And we exchange that information. And so Frank, so he became my mentor, right? And but it was because I did exactly what he told me to do. And when I went back out for the board of directors in 2006, Frank was able to influence a decision because the people in the room could put a face with the name. Do I have other mentors today? Yes. Lee Brown has mentored me. I would say this past weekend, I had the opportunity to do the event with Amy Kong, who's the current president of ARIA, and with Kenny Parcell, the first vice president of the National Association of Realtors. When we backstage, they dropping nuggets. They talking to you. They look, you get a different level of access when you interview them on a panel. And so I have numerous mentors. My CEO is a mentor. If you want to talk about association management, and actually I have a question to run by her this weekend, that she would know the political aspect of how to handle something. Yeah. So but a lot of people want mentors, but they're not taking action. And so mentors take heed to that. I can go to Frank Williams and he will do anything I ask him because he understands his time is not going to be wasted. That would be first. And that brings joy to a mentor. when they see people taking action. And you don't even have to tell them now, right? I know who take action and who don't take it. You ain't got to come and sell me. If I see you taking action, I will help you, okay? But you got to ask for it. So this current situation has happened. It's happened twice in the past week where I guess I'm supposed to be a mind reader. I can't tell you no if you don't tell me what you want. So you got to ask and you have to perform, because if you don't perform, you're not entitled to go and waste that person's time again for more information.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, girl, I think I'm sweating over here.
Yeah.
Hey. So yeah, I've had a lot of mentors, people who have just poured into me over my real estate career. And I can go back, Mary Richardson. My son just went and met with the absolute queen of foreclosure. She's been in the foreclosure business for 40 years. And I will tell you, because of Mary Richardson, over time, I made at least $1 million off of her knowledge.
Wow.
Off of her knowledge. Last week, she spent the day with my baby. And he told me when he came home, he said, Ma, Mary Richardson got me straight. She got me right. And he came home with a new focus. And I'm going to tell you why. She poured into me. The Chicago Sun-Times was doing an article on foreclosures, and they reached out to me. I was the queen of short sales. Short sales, foreclosures, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
When they reached out to me, I said, for what it is you're seeking, I want you to call Mary Richardson. She would be a better subject matter expert. Till this day, Mary will say, Marky, you did not have to do that. I didn't have to do it, but it was the right thing to do, because as a result of me taking a class with you, I was able to add this amount of money to my bottom line since 2006. No, actually, it might have been a little earlier, around 2006. So in the past 15 years, she has really helped me make a lot of money.
Wow. Okay.
Well, Frank has too. So.
So let me ask you now, where does your confidence come from? Was this instilled by your mother? You talk about your mother sometimes. So does it come from your mother?
I was always a ham. So if you were to hear my family describe me, I was born a ham. And a ham is a performer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been performing my whole life, because you can go look at pictures of me as a little girl and people just laugh at my pictures, because I was actually overwhelming as a kid, because I was this old grown spirit,
Mm-hmm.
clearly in a little girl's body, right? I mean, sassy, hand on the hip. What you see now was me then. That's why little Marky was so overwhelming. So I was always who I am. And I think it's because of the village. So because my parents were teen parents, I had 4 grandparents. I had 3 great grandmothers at the time of my birth. So my 2 grandmothers, 2 grandfathers, and 3 great grandmothers. A child had not been born on my father's side since his sister, 17 years. A child on my mother's side hadn't been born since my mother. So I got a lot of attention and a lot of support to be who I am. And they loved on me. And when I guess started showing the first signs of lipedema around the age of 10 and being overweight, they encouraged me as an overweight child. So I was a cheerleader. I was a pom-pom girl. I was a full-figured runway model. At a very early age, I was winning modeling contests. I was putting old women to shame because I could walk in a pair of heels.
Wow.
Or older women. They weren't old women there, older women. And so they supported that. And my mother, because she was so young, she never tried to mute me, because I could see that a child who was rambunctious and outgoing and verbal as I was could easily have been muted. They didn't do that. They supported it, but I had to do it a certain way. So like I was spoiled, but I couldn't pout. I couldn't be disrespectful and inconsiderate. I was always very direct as a kid, and they allowed that, but they kind of fostered it because it was so many people fostering, and I would have to go before a committee to get approval to do anything. No, it was for real. So it was, yeah, I was older Marky can definitely see I wore them out as a kid. Ooh, did
Well,
I wear them out?
they did a great job with you. They did a
Thank you.
great job with you. So just a couple more questions because it's let's see, it's been about an hour, so I don't want to take up too much of everybody's
Get your
time.
questions out. Look, leverage your opportunity.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, let me ask you. So your personality is clearly like a high eye on the disc profile. You've got the enthusiasm. You're bubbly. You're exciting, and people just gravitate to you. So, what if someone is more of a C type personality, who is more, cautious and laid back and reserved and private? What would you recommend for that person to achieve some success?
I would want you to actually go back to a podcast episode that we've already done where I interviewed the gentleman who talked about being an introvert.
Okay.
Because he gives some great examples on what you can implement in your business. And I can't think of his name. I think it's Matthew is the first name. I'll find the episode and make sure that I tag you in it. But
Okay.
he talks about, actually what he talks about is what you've already talked about. So you said that you niche as being the house swapper, right?
Mhm.
We're going with that.
Yeah.
Owning that niche and the uniqueness of that niche. So then in owning that niche and putting out content around it, you don't have to be as outgoing because you own that niche. So he talks about being that introvert and being private and things of that nature. The better way to be able to get over that is to have that niche where you don't have to do well, you don't have to be bubbly all the time, right? If that's not who you are, and it's going to be forced and it's going to be hard to maintain anyway. But because you're the house swapper, right? And the example he gave was a agent in Austin, Texas, who specializes in real estate for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
But Matthew Pollard.
Matthew Pollard.
I want you to go back and listen to that podcast episode because I can't do it any justice because I'm a DI. I think he's a C or S. And he talks about how to basically do a lot of business regardless of that personality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of my next question. Can you tell us about a time when you had kind of a difficult client, and how did you handle the situation when perhaps not difficult, but their client that client was a little bit off the rails?
Off the rails. Oh, so the interview, somebody just asked, it's Matthew Pollard, but I'll look it up to make sure before we end. So let me tell you, golly, and I can say this because I'm not going to mention any names. My top 3 most difficult real estate transactions were with mother-daughters.
Okay.
They get real clicky, right? And they have sidebar conversation, but neither one is the expert, right? And once they believe in something, it's like they're rising up against you. So now you're not as one representing them. So my absolute most difficult transactions, and I probably haven't done one since I realized, were these extremely close mother-daughter buying real estate together, or the mother was always present, presented the absolute most issues for me. Okay. And here's the reason why. It was the whole click thing. It was like dealing with high school girls
Mhm.
all over again. The mean girl, you tell them, well, I don't know if this will be advantageous, but they've sat and talked about how it would be advantageous, and then you show them the numbers on why it's not advantageous. But because it's two, now it becomes two against one.
Mhm.
Okay. Um. So with that being said, I am data driven and I love to win arguments. I'm very competitive and I do not like to lose. Okay. Now, let me say this about that. Because I'm overweight, most people don't think overweight people are competitive because they're viewed as lazy. So I would say that oftentimes my weight has confused people. I just want to throw that out there, right? And so they think that they could slack a little bit.
Mhm.
No, boo, you better bring your A game because I'm going to come to clobber your butt, okay? Because guess what? I just got to exercise this.
Yeah.
I don't have to hit the treadmill or nothing. I just got to exercise this. So, with that being said, even in my household, my husband, he says, who does that, right? I am a fact based arguer.
Mhm.
I'm going to go do my research. And my husband knows when I come back and I bring up an old subject, I've done my research and I don't have to do it right then and there. I could do it when time permits according to my schedule. So I can log something in and 2 weeks later it could hit me. I do that research and I say, so Stephen, remember the conversation? He like, and you said, and I'll pull out my whole list of arguments on this situation. When it comes to dealing with difficult situations, and this, I would say this is probably more negotiation,
Mhm.
data. The more data or data that you have, the better the argument you can ever present in any situation. And I would recommend taking a negotiations course.
Okay.
But I'm going to do that research and we're going to have a entirely different conversation because I can leave an argument when I don't have facts because I don't like to lose. But if I come and bring it up again, know that I have done my research. So
Yeah.
I would say do your research, have it in writing or screenshots on your phone,
Okay.
okay? Um, so that you can present. But my most difficult transactions have always been when a mother, actually, not just a mother daughter transaction, mother daughter daughter purchasing transaction.
Okay. Oh yeah. I can definitely see how that mother might be a little overprotective and might be giving the daughter all the wrong information. So I totally get that. So Marky, okay, so this will be my last question. You're very intentional about your life and about your goals.
Yes.
What do you see yourself doing in the next 10 years?
It just hit me the other day. So I have luggage tags on my bag. I'm looking around that I'm scheduled to retire September the 25th, 2033, because I was even intentional in my marriage, right? I am married to a locomotive engineer. I will get a spousal funded pension plan the day that my husband retires. And here's the thing, people say all the time, I don't pay my husband a lot of attention. I don't get mad at him because all I got to do is breathe. I'm the first wife and I'm already vested. So I just need y'all I'm the first wife and I'm already vested and I already know when I'm gonna get this check, right? So I don't know how to take no nonsense off of him and no other man ever in this life because I didn't put that time in already. When I look at Marky in 10 years, I will have this house in Chicago because my husband, our roots are here. I will have a second home somewhere in the South because I can live anywhere and do what it is that I do. I want to leverage that opportunity. What my hardest problem has been is in mentoring someone to fill the shoes, right? And we have mentoring programs at NAR. People just aren't taking advantage of that. So I want there to be multiple of me's out here because I don't want to essentially leave what it is that I'm doing and there's no more African American female representation,
Mhm.
because I shouldn't be the only one, right? And let me say that there is Juanita McDowell
Oh yeah,
out of your area,
she's
right?
she's Atlanta. Yeah,
Right. She's Atlanta.
she's great.
But most of the time it's me, right? And I'm going into rural places that I'm the only one. I want to have more visibility to basically get more minorities in leadership positions. But in 10 years, I will be financially eligible for retirement, and I'll be able to live anywhere that I want to live and do what it is that I do. But my retirement date is scheduled for September the 25th, 2033.
Wow. I mean, you got it down to the exact date.
Well, because I know when that check gonna hit. Let me be clear with you, because I know I know when I know. And here's, but let me, what I am intentional about, because this is another thing in being intentional. My husband's a locomotive engineer. We live in a house that my husband can afford. Okay. I was intentional about that because I wanted the option to not have to work. Every day I get the opportunity to do what it is that I love, because my husband can't afford to take care of me. I don't have to work. Now, you wouldn't see me in all these dresses and designer stuff because he wouldn't be paying for all that stuff. But I buy that stuff cash. So I don't have credit card debt. And my husband's reminded me of that numerous times. I don't carry debt. So it took me essentially up until maybe 3 years ago. So I was married, what, 12 years, to ensure that if I wanted to be a housewife, I could be a housewife and everything would just keep on churning except for my shopping habit, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I was intentional about that because I was a single mother, because I did carry debt, because I understood the stress of carrying debt. It's why I didn't go and pick some big fancy elaborate house that he need me to help pitch in for us to live in.
Mhm.
Because my grandfathers, one was a truck driver, one was in the barbecue business. By the time I was born, my one of my grandmothers didn't work and the other one only worked part-time. They
Mhm.
was at home cooking dinner. They were very hands-on. Oh, so I'm glad I mentioned that. My true goal is to be the greatest ama in the world. So I want to be a very hands on grandmother because my fondest memories are with my grandparents growing up. And they always had the time, even though my parents were teen parents, my grandparents, I was never a burden. It was like they were waiting for me to show up because all of them always had time. That's what I really want to be in the position to be able to do. Whenever Skylar or Austin has children, I don't want to be treated like the mother of the father. I want to be treated like the grandmother. And I already know I'm gonna have to jockey for that position, right? So I want enough time to be Amma, and Amma is grandmother in Icelandic because I was a foreign exchange student and lived in Reykjavik, Iceland. And let me tell you this, my Amma from Iceland, she was cold too. So I've been very fortunate that my family and my extended family in Reykjavik were very good to me.
Wow. Cool. Well, I don't have any more questions. Thank
Well,
you.
though I thank you one for showing up, being prepared, and it's kind of funny how we keep doing these and no one has asked the same question twice. So every single episode, we're pulling something new.